Hi everyone, it's Heidi Smith here from Flutter by Heidi. I'm Heidi Smith, I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United Kingdom, in the heart of the country, right in the Midlands. And today I'm coming to you with one of my playing with patterns projects. So if you have a look on my videos or my blog, you will find I've done a sweet inspiration for the month of February on using this suite. And so I've done a sweet board as I have previously, and you can see the stamps, the ribbons that come in the suite, the embellishments, resin dots, although I've knocked one off there, and it comes, the suite, the dies that go with these are this fabulous alphabet die set. So this is what I would call a kind of a background suite to have. It's it's great, but it's one that works really well with other products, because the stamp set itself has got literally these patterns and just a couple of sentiments, and obviously the alphabet could go with all sorts of things. Now the paper I'm going to use comes in this suite. Actually, pop those away. So I am going to use just this suite and show you just what you can do with it on its own. The papers are great, lots of lovely colours in there. So you've got Calypso Coral, Coastal Cabana, Crushed Curry, Night of Navy, Purple Posy, and you get 4 each of 12 patterns, and obviously they're double-sided 6x6, so you can see these lovely kind of dots and stripes and sort of brush marks, some super circles there as well, sort of scalloped images, just really useful, almost kind of going towards rainbows. Again, more dots and stripes, but ones that could be used for all sorts of occasions. That's probably my favourite paper, and that one with the larger dots. But as a result, it's it's one that works well with lots of different things. But I haven't done one of these for a while. Ferrero Friday. So this one I just thought was so sweet. I've just done a little triangle box, little individual one. And I've used just part of one of the stamps with Guilty Pleasures on. Now actually Ferrero, although I do lots of projects, I have done lots of projects with them, aren't necessarily my guilty pleasure, but this could just as easily be used for another sort of chocolate or treat, or all sorts of things. And it just folds up, just a little triangle. You can see there it is big enough for one Ferrero to give you an idea of size, and I've used a couple of punches with this again to show how that sort of coordinates. But you see the paper does all the work here, but I have made it from card, just to give it that bit of strength. So I'm going to use some Night of Navy for the second one. And you're going to need a piece of cardstock that is 13.5 centimetres by 17. So I'm just going to have to just pop that bar out for a moment. Okay, and you're going to score that long edge at 5.5, at 10.5, and at 16 centimetres. And if you're worried about getting that right on there, just measure at 1 centimetre at the opposite edge. And then on the short edge, you're going to score at 5 and 8.5. Like so. You're going to need some DSP, and I thought I'd use this navy patterned one here. And you're going to want 2 pieces that are 5 by 5 centimetres. And what I'm doing with the DSP, I'm actually putting it on before I cut the triangles, so we don't have to worry about getting those triangles by cutting triangles, which I know I struggle with. I don't know about the rest of you, but not always easy. And then you want 2 pieces, just 3.5 by 5.5. So again, so you can see it doesn't use very much in the way of DSP. But obviously you could make a whole range of these out of a pack in all sorts of colours, which would look great fun. Okay, so I think we're done with the trimmer, I hope. So what you want to do now is fold and burnish those score lines. And obviously what you could do is, if you're doing these as table favours, you could use the alphabet to pop people's initials on the front, things like that. Always good fun. Actually, I do want my trimmer back again. Yes, I do. But in a moment. So first thing we're going to do is actually attach our piece of paper. And I'm using the opposite end of Tombow here. That's spreader end, which is great for getting to the edges. I probably ought to have used my silicone mat there. So you're going to put a piece on each side. And a piece top and bottom. And I've actually taken these right flush to the edge rather than leaving any layers. And yes, I am, you know, you could potentially make this out of DSP itself. But by the time, you know, I just think that out of card just makes it a little bit more robust, particularly if it's going onto a table as a favour as well. Okay. So once you've done that, you are going to want a ruler, and you're just going to mark the midpoints on these. So you just want to mark at 2.5 centimetres on that outer edge. Pencil, or I mean, I'm using an erasable marker. And then you're going to use take your pick tool with the narrow embossing. Just come up and just make sure you do that quite firmly, because you're going through both the card and the DSP. So you just line that up. And again, don't do what I've just done, which is mess it up. There we go. Okay. So once you've done that, we're going to be doing some trimming, and you'll see that what I've done is I've just left on the side of on the one where there's the end on this one, I'm going to leave some little flaps either side, but the other ones are going to be on the triangles. So if you grab your scissors. Now you could cut down with this if you wanted to with your trimmer at about 1 centimetre. I find it's only a short panel, it's actually okay as it is. And you're going to cut again at about 1 centimetre parallel to the diagonal score line. So if I show you the diagonal score line, you'll see we've just got about 1 centimetre on each side of that. Only that one actually is the one I'm going to cut away. So the one that's closest to the flaps you're going to cut flush. So you're just going to cut along that score line. I will have a diagram on my blog, a photo of this so you can see that, and I'll lay it flat out in a moment. Just notch very slightly at the very top. And then you'll want a steeper angle on the side here. Okay. So now we're going to come to this side, and this is where we are going to cut diagonally and then cut flush down the side of the card. So on that score line. So again, about 1 centimetre away. And then cut down the side, and again cut down there. Okay, so you're going to want to reinforce those quite well. And where you can see it sort of overlapping, just cut it at a sharper angle. So this is forming the basis of our box. And this is where it's going to tuck in on the side there. And again, just make sure that those angles at the bottom are nice and extended, as you can see. So there's, if I hold it out, hopefully you can see that's what the shape you're going to be looking to create. And now we can do a little bit of stamping. Now obviously the stamp itself says fill the day with all your guilty pleasures, whereas I just wanted to have that little guilty pleasures bit on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just using a bit of post-it note to mask off the rest of that sentiment. Then you can come in with your ink pad and ink it up like so. Scrap of Whisper White. Take the post-it note off and then you can stamp and you'll just get guilty pleasures. I'm then using our fabulous classic label, really useful label, and I want the sentiment to be down towards the bottom of that, so I'm just lining that up and punching. I'm then going to use one of those scrap bits of Night of Navy, the next one as well, and pop my punch to one side. And I'm just going to grab a bit of adhesive, whichever adhesive suits you. It's probably easiest to use Tombow for this because the others are just the width, so you might end up with a little bit of glue spillage. And then I'm just popping that over the top there. And because it's wet, we can just make sure that's lined up really well. And you can just snip at the end. And then the other punch I'm using is this one here. So the Label Me Fancy, it actually has both a slot, which you could use for wider ribbon, or a narrow hole. So what I'm doing is folding over that top flap and I'm pushing that in, and you can see where that paper is at either side. Just pull it down below the edge of the, so line it up to get it centred, then pull it down below the edge of the punch and just punch, and that creates a lovely little hole for you. Do the same at the other end, and then we're going to do the same with our I couldn't get there. I'd got my it was clogged a little bit. There you go. There we go. So there we have our box, and what we need to do now is obviously assemble this. Now I'm just going to come down and trim. I've noticed I've left that a little bit raggedy, so I'm actually going to trim that. You see from the score line I haven't come as close as I would like to because I cut it, so I'm just going to come from the reverse and trim that. Okay, and then just add the glue to those two tabs. And if you're ever doing these in an assembly line, then you're okay to leave the Tombow for a few moments, because actually it's quite good. It helps it to stick if you've done that. It kind of goes a little bit tacky. And by that I don't mean not very nice. So there we go, there's our box at the front. There's our little tag to go on there, and I thought we'd just add one of these resin dots to it. Or maybe, I think I'm just going to pop one of those little yellow resin dots along with another couple. On the front there. Just to add to the fun. You pop your treat in, and then I've got a piece of ribbon here which I'm just using a large, like a knitting stitching up needle, sewing needle. So you can pop, as you can see, pop your in this case Ferrero Lindor ball, other item of chocolate, maybe a piece of jewellery, and then all you do is just thread that through. Thread it through the end of the label as well. And then tie a nice little bow on the top. And there we have a little triangular treat box or table favour, all done, or even just a little treat just because. Trim your ribbons, so I'm just using my ribbon scissors here, and there we have it. So there's our pair of tiny triangular treat boxes ready for a Ferrero or anything else, using the Playing with Patterns suite. And if you want anything from that suite, do pop along to my blog, and you'll find all the links to products there. Or if you go to the description bar, the little there's a little arrow on the side, just click on that and you'll find links to all the products as well. Thank you for watching. Do come back and see me again soon. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel to be notified of when I post the next project. Thanks for watching. Bye now.